What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the MG YouTube channel. Malachi Grubb, CEO of Elite Automation, Elite Properties, and an investor in Tesla. So I wanted to make a video for you guys today. By the way, I'm in the FSD, in the Cybertruck, headed to Alabama right now. But I want to make a video to you today about where FSD is going to go in the future and kind of how we're going to go from supervised to unsupervised, and also how Tesla might go about charging for supervised versus unsupervised. So a lot of people have either bought FSD or they pay for a subscription of FSD. So that's two different ways that Tesla is currently selling its supervised FSD, right? And the supervised FSD has changed prices quite a bit. You know, at one point in time it was $15,000. At another point in time it was $12,000, and I believe it's at $8,000 now, which is that's the price I bought it for my Cybertruck and my Model Y. I think it's still worth $15,000. Now, there's the TAM, the total addressable market, of who will buy at what price. So obviously Tesla kind of seen that at $15,000 they were losing too many sales. Not as many people are adopting FSD as they'd like to see. So they reduced the price of FSD to get more people buying, right? So there's like, you know, basically when you run the numbers on anything that you're selling, right? If you drop something to a certain price, a mass amount of people are now more willing to buy that product, okay? So like a good example of that is like vehicles. Like for like every $5,000 you drop the price of a vehicle, you open up like another like 90% of the market that is able to buy that vehicle. So just with a $5,000 price cut. So I mean, if you imagine if they went from $15,000 to $8,000 for FSD alone, that's pretty significant. So then when it comes to the subscription model of FSD, it's currently sitting at $100. $100 per month for FSD supervised. So a couple things that I see there is that FSD supervised is highly likely to have an increase in price. I think FSD will also have an increase in price. And actually I have like kind of debating people online about FSD being $50,000 at some point in time. Now, I think that's commercial use. It might be something like $50,000 one-time purchase. Or if you're going to have your vehicle on the robo-taxi network. And then that kind of goes into the side of things of like, some people grandfathered in as early adopters of Teslas and FSD purchasers. Are we grandfathered in? And I think we are, primarily because, you know, even like hardware 3 vehicles that you know, basically Tesla's saying that I'm pretty positive hardware 3 vehicles will have to be upgraded to hardware 4, and basically the company would take on that ownership. People who bought FSD are grandfathered in, right? Now, if you bought the subscription, I don't think you're grandfathered in. Or if you're paying for the subscription, I don't think you're grandfathered in. And if you definitely if you didn't buy it and you're not paying for the subscription, I don't think you're grandfathered in. I think you have to pay for the hardware upgrade on your vehicle. And also too, like it might come to a point where, you know, Tesla says, hey, you know what? It costs us too much money to upgrade from a hardware 3 to a hardware 4. Here's a new Tesla, or take one of our used inventory, or like, you know, they might do something else that's more cost effective to them because if not, then they have to like issue all of these hardware upgrades to the service centers. Now, Elon did mention one other thing too in one of the earnings calls, that he said good thing a lot of people weren't buying FSD in the beginning. So basically signifying that there's not a lot of vehicles that need to be fitted. And also too, it really signifies and confirms that they're only going to grandfather in the people who paid for FSD. Elsie Whitney said, he would have said good thing people didn't purchase, you know, too many people didn't purchase FSD. So I think that is definitely going to be the case. Now, one other thing that I see, and one reason why I want to put this out there, is I see that once we go unsupervised FSD will have a different price. And I think it'd be very smart for Tesla to have a different price for unsupervised FSD. And the number one reason why they'd be smart for it is because they have to take on extra liability whenever they have unsupervised FSD. Basically, when the supervised FSD, they can always say to the, always say in like a legal standpoint, hey, you were supposed to be driving, it was a supervised FSD. So either everything will probably just become unsupervised, and that's just the model they go. And I still think there's going to be a price increase. I think we could see like from $100 a month to $200 a month. But again, I think it would be advantageous of them to even have like supervised at $100 a month, supervised at $100 a month, and unsupervised at $250 a month or $200 a month, or utility-wise, unsupervised is going to be much more valuable. However, as far as cost reduction and getting more adoption and kind of the compounding effect of things kind of lowering in price, like as time passes. Like if you look at like a big screen TV, a 4K TV used to cost $5,000. Okay, well now it doesn't cost $5,000 anymore. You can buy 4K TV for like $250 now. So that just kind of shows you like how technology over time is able to reduce its cost. So with that being said, FSD could get to a point, supervised. Now again, this is supervised. Could get to a price of $50, $25 a month, maybe even $10 a month. And why do I think that's a plausibility? I think it's plausible because, like, for those people who still want to be vehicle owners and don't want to use the robo-taxi network and don't want to just like use ride sharing only, because even though it's the cheapest option, people will still want to be owners of vehicles, and they'll still want FSD, but maybe they can't afford the unsupervised at like maybe $200 a month. Or they're just not willing to pay for it. But if you gave pretty much anybody the option with a Tesla to say, okay, FSD is going to cost $10 a month, $25 a month, $50 a month, now I think you can really start getting people on board with everybody just buying it. Everybody. And on top of that, that will increase the sales of a Tesla vehicle. It's going to increase the sales of just having the capability of a Tesla vehicle. But FSD, sorry, I lost track. But being able to buy FSD, or not buy it, but have a subscription that's that cheap, it just opens up the broad market to where like people don't mind to just throw away $10 a month on Netflix or $25 a month on Netflix. At that point in time, you're targeting 90% of the total addressable market for all economies, basically. So I definitely see a version where they're going to keep FSD supervised and then just let it be super cheap, and then just have more of that premium for unsupervised. And so what's going to be the major difference between supervised and unsupervised? You're going to be able to sleep. You're going to be able to look away. You're going to be able to, this is unsupervised, and even in supervised, like, they could probably still extend out where I can look over here for 10 seconds. Maybe they won't. Maybe they won't accept that liability. Maybe for that price tier, especially if they go as low as $10 a month, at that price tier, they don't want to take any liability. So, like, maybe they still have the nag and stuff that's at the same point it is today, because why take on liability, right? The longer they extend that nag out, which the nag is basically what tells you to pay attention, right? That's what nag is. Nag is like an alert on the screen, audible alarm, says, hey, look forward, pay attention to the road. That's just to ensure you're not abusing FSD. So again, they could still reduce it some, but again, unsupervised will be like literally I could just go slump out just like that and go to sleep. By the way, I'm gonna just like try to like act like I'm sleeping real quick and just see how long it takes for the nag to engage. That was a good amount. Wow. That's wow. Okay, I just got some like hands that I need to put some pressure on the wheel. That was crazy. I don't know how many seconds that was, but it felt like a good 3, 4, 5 seconds. But the primary difference is going to be you're able to sleep, you're able to turn around, talk to people behind you, you're able to, you know, diddle on your phone, have your computer busted out, and basically have like a mobile office, which is going to be super good for anybody who's like, you know, in real estate or any type of salesperson that's traveling to different facilities or locations. Basically anybody that does any amount of driving for their job is going to get a significant benefit of like unsupervised. Again, like if you're a real estate agent, okay, take me to the next house that I need to show. Boom. The whole entire time you're sitting here diddling, you know, maybe texting another client or coordinating with that client while you're driving. So like instead of having to sit there and sit idle or unsafely drive and try to text messages and stuff like that, you're able to just do it in an unsupervised manner. So that would be the biggest thing that you're paying for differently, right? And again, I like that model. It opens up, you know, supervised to everybody, and everybody can just have supervised, which is still extremely awesome. And there's still workarounds as well to like not have to be completely supervised. I can put, if I put my phone above me, in front of me like that, like it can't tell that I'm texting and stuff like that. But the value that's there to, you know, somebody could literally get twice as much work done in a day, because instead of having to sit idle and not move at all for 20, 30, 40 minutes while they're messaging other clients and, you know, trying to figure out what's next or whatever, right? They're able to be traveling on the road, going to the next client while they're still messaging other clients, right? So it just increases their productivity by, you know, 2x or whatever. So I mean, that can have a direct impact on somebody's income just by them utilizing, you know, the FSD. So, you know, like let's say for instance, if you made, I'll just use easy numbers, you made $5,000 a month, and because you have FSD, you can now be 2 times more efficient, and now you can make $10,000 a month. You wouldn't pay $200 a month. I mean, $200 a month is a lot for somebody to bite off. It's a lot for somebody to, let's say, man, I want to pay $200 a month on a subscription for something. You know, that's like some people's car payment. But whenever you compare the numbers for utility like that, it becomes very, you know, easy to kind of foresee. Another thing that I see as a potential option is on the commercial side of things, which is like not near as relevant to other people. And I actually haven't talked about the commercial side as far as subscription model, but in that same type of like tiering, where if you had like $10 supervised FSD, you had $200 unsupervised FSD, and then you had maybe $500 a month commercial FSD. And then somebody could say, well, why would I do that? Well, I mean, for everything, there's generally a commercial price. I know for a fact as a business owner, and like, it's like actually something you try to work around as a business owner sometimes until it becomes too much of a nuisance. But for everything that there's like a personal option for it, and there's an enterprise option, the enterprise option is generally like at least twice the expense. So like, let's say for instance, internet. I have WoW internet for my all of our properties, which are done as like a residential internet, and we pay like $80 a month. Then for the shop that we have, Elite Automation Shop, we pay like, I think, $150 a month for the exact same internet. If I'm not mistaken, the internet is actually worse. Like, and like, you don't really get anything extra except for like priority services. And so like, if you have your internet's down, they'll come out and get you fixed like sooner. But like, internet outages are not that common. I mean, I understand the importance of it. Like, whenever your business is reliant on the internet and it goes down, like, it's extremely important. I get that. But we also have backup things like Starlink and stuff. So like, I don't need that business internet. I don't want to get into it. Point being is like the everything is charged at an enterprise level and a personal level, right? Again, like the AI tools that we use for our company and the marketing side, you know, there's a personal version, there's an enterprise version. Personal version is like $10 a month, $20 a month, something like that. Enterprise version is like, you know, maybe it's $10 per license per user, some of them, but some of them are also like $100 for the enterprise version, you know? So again, that's where there could be an enterprise or commercial version of FSD that's unsupervised, that's for like somebody who's like a taxi driver. And so one of the other primary reasons why I wanted to make this video is honestly, I think people need to buy FSD. I think by buying FSD, I'm not exactly positive on the small print, so like look up the small print for FSD and like terms and conditions. But by buying FSD outright, I think that it has the potential to just save you a lot of money right now. So like where you could purchase FSD for like $8,000 and be grandfathered in and get it at that price now, it's again highly plausible that shoot, I lost train of thought. Oh, the FSD is going to be like, you know, back to $15,000, $20,000, $50,000 to buy it outright. And somebody might say, like, why would they do that? They won't do that, blah, blah, blah. Well, if they do it, and they say either pay the $100 subscription or the $200 subscription for unsupervised FSD, or buy it for $30,000, buy it for $10,000, whatever that number is, $15,000, you don't have an option. Either you buy it at the outright price, or you just pay for the subscription, which you're not grandfathered in for anything. You know what I mean? Like, if unsupervised becomes a thing and your vehicle's not equipped for it, then it's probably never going to be equipped for it. Now, the one downside I will say about purchasing a Tesla with FSD, as long as you can transfer the license over, it doesn't matter to another vehicle. But it's the hardware side of things. So like, if I buy a vehicle like the Cybertruck has hardware 4 in it, some people in the past have hardware 3 in it, and there's discussion that hardware 5 is actually going to be coming out soon. So if your vehicle doesn't have hardware 5, or whenever they get to hardware 6 or hardware 7, right, then your FSD might not be as capable. So like, they might say that, like how they've already said, like, we're pretty sure hardware 3 is not going to be capable of unsupervised. We're going to have to upgrade those. They might end up coming to the table and saying the same thing with version 4. Oh guys, we really thought it was going to be there, but you know what? Actually, version 4 is not going to cut it either. Or maybe it does cut it, but version 4 versus version 5, maybe hardware version 5 is like a lot better and maybe takes out some like weird quirky things that you just can't eliminate from, you know, version 4. You might have limitations like just software compute. You're not able to run the software fast enough in a version 4 that you can run in a version 5. Especially if they go to like the Dojo 2 and Dojo 3 supercomputers that they have in the Tesla vehicles, that'll have a big impact. And again, the next big thing is like, if you can transfer that license over, that's a big deal. you need to be able to transfer that license over, so that way you can transfer it from a hardware 4 to a hardware 5 vehicle, and that you're actually buying an FSD license for life. I mean, that would be, if you can buy an FSD license for life and just keep transferring it through vehicles, man, like, just business-wise alone, like, there's business case for, like, let me just buy a bunch of, like, Model Ys with FSD on them, and then as new hardware comes out over the next 10 years or whatever, that you just transfer those hardwares over to, or that software over to whatever the newest hardware is, and kind of like, so that way you kind of expire your old vehicles, you keep rolling over, and so you don't have to rebuy FSD again for the rest of your life. It becomes like a lifetime subscription, or a lifetime one-time purchase or whatever. But yeah, so might be a great idea to buy FSD. If you're doing that, you need to have some other model like Turo, and we're trying to make Turo work out. It is not working out really financially. It's another business that we're operating with, automotive vehicles. It's not really working out. We don't like it. It's too much liability. I mean, it is working out kind of, but I don't like the liability of it. I like real estate better as far as like that type of investment. But I am super bullish and on board with like robotaxi, and want to operate a robotaxi company. So we're trying to find a way to scale vehicles right now, so that way whenever robotaxi becomes available in our area or another area where we can take our vehicles and let them operate, we have that capability to do so. But yeah, hopefully this video was educational, entertaining, and if it was, please hit the subscribe button and check out some more content that we have like this. We talk a bunch of things Tesla right now because, honestly, it's the hot thing. I love Tesla. I've been investing in Tesla for 10 years, and we talk all other things here, business, entrepreneurship, and just want to help people grow and navigate their way to success. Peace.